precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madavella and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. Quarantine curfew will be imposed in the Western Province from midnight tonight. No one will be allowed to commute in or out of these districts except for certain groups during quarantine curfew. Total number of infections registered by the second wave reached 5,731. U.S. State Secretary says that the MCC agreement is one of many opportunities offered by the U.S. and that it is ultimately up to Sri Lanka to choose whether to accept it. Chanting of Ratana Sutra is being held today as well. News overseas, Macron declares a second national lockdown in France. Local news in detail now. Acting police media spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana said that when the quarantine curfew comes into effect in the Western Province from midnight today, no one will be allowed to commute in or out of these districts except for certain groups. This week, it is a decisive factor in ensuring that this COVID-19 pandemic is contained. He said that they humbly request everyone to stay indoors as much as possible. For those who need to collect essentials and medications, they are being given an opportunity until 10 p.m. However, after 12 midnight, the entire Western Province will come under a blanket curfew, and we expect everyone to abide by these rules and regulations, he said. He added that only ambulances, vehicles involved in disaster-related activities and essential services will be allowed to enter or exit the Western Province during this weekend. He added that roadblocks will be erected at various entry points to ensure that there is no movement of vehicles. The government has launched a program to provide essential food to the people who are undergoing quarantine at their homes. There will be provided food sufficient for 14 days. The Army commander requested the people to follow health guidelines properly as there is a higher rate of spreading the coronavirus now. The total number of COVID-19 infections confirmed in the country topped the 9,000 mark as 335 more persons linked to the Minuwangoda-Paliyagoda cluster were tested positive for the virus last evening. Thereby, the total number of infections registered by the cluster to date reached 5,731. With the new development, Sri Lanka has now confirmed 9,205 novel coronavirus infections to date. According to statistics, 4,075 of the confirmed patients have made complete recoveries from the virus. The epidemiology unit says 5,111 active cases are still receiving medical treatment at selected hospitals across the island. COVID-19 death toll, meanwhile, went up to 19 as 3 infected persons, including a 19-year-old, fell victim to the virus. The U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo says that the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement is one of many opportunities offered by the United States and that it is ultimately up to Sri Lanka to choose whether to accept it. He made these remarks while speaking to local media. He stated that great democracies like the ones in Sri Lanka and in the United States have a shared vision on how life ought to operate. There ought to be sovereign nations and free people who get the chance to live the lives they want, and the U.S. is here to share that message, he said, speaking on his maiden visit to the island nation. Mr. Pompeo reiterated that U.S. will not attempt to use debt to extort actions by Sri Lankan government. Chanting of Ratana Sutra in all the temples in the country has commenced. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa participated at the inaugural ceremony at the Abhayaramaya in Narayampeta on Friday. This initiative is being held at all temples in the country at 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 until tomorrow. This initiative is conducted under the leadership of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation with the support of the Ministry of Religious Affairs and the Department of Buddhist Affairs. The Ratana Sutra will be chanted to bless the people of this country. The chanting will be broadcast from Rambodagala Rajamahaviharya in Kurunegala, Anuradhapura today. The SLBC requests all chief prelates of the temples in the island to use loudspeakers to broadcast the chanting at particular time. Bank of Ceylon, National Lotteries Board, Development Lotteries Board, Dali Butler Company and Amrita Incense Sticks are sponsoring this program. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news. We continue with more stories. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has assured to work continuously in cooperation with Sri Lanka to achieve economic development targets. When he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday, he said that the aim of the U.S. is to further enhance present strong bilateral relations between the two countries. He said that prominence will be given to promote U.S. investments in Sri Lanka. The U.S. also expressed its support for the promotion of the tourism industry. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that what is needed by Sri Lanka is not to obtain loans continuously, but to achieve a high economic development by attracting foreign investment. He said that Sri Lanka maintains a neutral foreign policy. The relations with other states are based on several factors. Historic cultural relations and development cooperation are main among them. The president emphasized that he is not prepared to sacrifice Sri Lanka's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity in foreign relations. The president said that China provided aid to develop infrastructure in the country after the end of separatism terrorism, and Sri Lanka was not caught in a debt trap as a result. Both parties agreed to further strengthen the long-standing defense cooperation between Sri Lanka and U.S. The president pointed out the need to strengthen Coast Guard service to eradicate drug rackets, and the U.S. Secretary of State agreed to provide assistance in that regard. The U.S. Secretary of State said that the U.S. wishes to see the Indian Ocean remains as a peace zone and expressed his happiness about the friendship between Sri Lanka and India. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that Sri Lanka's aspiration is to see peace in the Indian Ocean region. Both parties agreed to work in cooperation on human rights issues in international arena. Foreign Relations Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the United States is one of Sri Lanka's major development partners with over $2 billion worth of development assistance in wide-ranging areas including agriculture, environment, natural resources, health, education, business development, trade and humanitarian assistance. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, addressing the joint press event with U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo yesterday, said that the U.S. remained Sri Lanka's largest single market with exports of $3.1 billion in 2019, and even in the present context of the COVID-19 related market downturn remains in a similar position with $1.1 billion for the first half of this year. He added that Pompeo's visit to Sri Lanka marks a significant milestone in U.S.-Sri Lanka relations, celebrating the 72nd anniversary today, October 29th, of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Minister Gunawardena also thanked his U.S. counterpart for visiting Sri Lanka despite the current global COVID-19 threat. That's on local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak announces that the quarantine curfew will be imposed in the Western Province from midnight tonight until 5 a.m. on Monday upon the recommendation of Director General of Health Services. The curfew will be lifted at 5 a.m. on the 2nd of November with regard to areas where no curfew has been imposed at the time of issuing this notice. In areas where curfew is currently in effect, the curfew will continue even after 5 a.m. on Monday. As the curfew has been imposed in the Western Province on Friday, essential food outlets and pharmacies in the areas where curfew is in effect should be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. today. After the 2nd of November, essential food outlets and pharmacies in the areas where curfew is in effect will be open 2 days as previously announced.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And on Watchlight, Minuwangoda Govi Bimasurakemu organization points out that 30 acres of paddy fields in either side of Ambagahavatta Viharya to Dalolua junctions of the Colombo-Minuwangoda main road that can be cultivated is being earth-filling illegally. This is for the attention of Gampa District Assistant Commissioner of the Agrarian Development. World News Headlines. Macron declares second national lockdown in France. Nearly 100,000 catching virus every day in England. Record number of endangered turtles hatch in Mexico. World News in detail. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced a second national lockdown until at least the end of November, and Mr. Macron said that under the new measures starting on Friday, people would only be allowed to leave home for essential work or medical reasons. Non-essential businesses such as restaurants and bars will close, but schools and factories will remain open. COVID daily deaths in France are at the highest level since April. On Tuesday, 33,000 new cases were confirmed. Mr. Macron said the country risked being overwhelmed by a second wave that no doubt will be harder than the first. Nearly 100,000 people are catching coronavirus every day in England, a major analysis suggests. The study by Imperial College London says the pace of the epidemic is accelerating and estimates the number of people infected is now doubling every 9 days. The authors say we are at a critical stage and something has to change. France and Germany have turned to forms of lockdown to control the virus. The government here is sticking to its original strategy. Experts are warning that we are fast approaching the peak in infections seen in the spring. Finally, on World News, record numbers of endangered species of turtle have hatched on a beach in northern Mexico, believed to be the result of reduced human activity during the coronavirus pandemic. The indigenous Seri community in Sorona State said it released more than 2,250 baby olive ridley sea turtles into the Gulf of California. The community usually releases about 500 of the small creatures every year. Fishing and tourism limits mean their beach nests have not been as disturbed. The olive ridley sea turtle, which is under threat globally, lays its eggs on the beaches of a number of Mexican states between May and September. That's on World News.
Development News is brought to you by...
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the two of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
And on development news, the government has decided to buy all stocks of fish held by fishermen that cannot be sold due to the spread of the coronavirus within the next 4 days. With the emergence of a corona cluster in the Paliagada fish market after the Minuangada corona cluster, problems arose to sell the fish harvest. One of the reasons for this was the temporary suspension of fishing activities in the main fisheries harbours. The State Minister of Multi-Day Fisheries and Fisheries Exports stated that the stocks of fish purchased in this manner will be used for canned fish production in the future. The Beruela fishing harbour, which was closed after encountering infected people in the Paliagada corona cluster, was reopened yesterday after 6 days. However, a date for the reopening of the Paliagada fish market has not yet been announced.
When Tati bought a new family car, it wasn't just for the 4 of us.
It's a 10-seater van. Enough for friends and relatives too.
Mummy insisted on building an extra room in our new house.
Well, you never know who'll come to stay. We need more pillows too.
When I was studying late, Nangi would come by to help.
No, I don't know physics, but I do know you need a Munchie Super Cream Cracker.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others.
When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves.
Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Sports News is brought to you by
Munchie Chocolate Cream Biscuit. Chocolate in every bite.
Marcus Rashford came off the bench to score a clinical hat-trick as Manchester United continued their recent momentum by taking apart RB Leipzig in the Champions League. England international Rashford came on just after the hour mark, netted 3 goals in 16 minutes, first running clear to calmly slot in, then smashing in a terrific second before drilling home a third in stoppage time. Teenage forward Mason Greenwood scored his first goal in the competition, lashing onto Paul Pogba's defense-splitting pass before drilling a precise low finish into the far corner. Greenwood produced another thumping effort straight at Peter Gulaski, while the visiting goalkeeper also kept out Anthony Marshall's poked effort.
Hey guys, we've got our very own Queen Bear here to review something for us.
Okay, here we go. It's the right amount of crunch and OMG, so much chocolate. The texture is so good. It's creamy and velvety and just so much chocolate. The packaging is super cool and new and there's like so much chocolate. And OMG, the taste, it tastes like so good and there's so much chocolate. Like with every bite. 10 out of 10 for me.
Munchie Chocolate Cream Biscuit. Chocolate in every bite.
Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. NSB Wings. Reach out the high goals.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Strengthening the relationship between two state giants, Sri Lanka Insurance, in collaboration with People's Bank, unveiled SLIC service counter at the People's Bank premises to enhance the accessibility of their services and to deliver customer convenience to the public. With the opening of the SLIC service counter, People's Bank customers and staff members have the opportunity to experience an array of insurance solutions provided by Sri Lanka Insurance. The SLIC service counter facilitates the purchase of insurance policies, obtaining information on insurance plans, making premium payments, expediting medical insurance claims at the time of patient discharge, and many other services.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The wait is over and it's time for you to experience happiness. It's time to remap the graph for success. It's time to rebuild your empire. It's time to initiate your entrepreneur dreams. Empower your dreams with NSB Wings. Get your 2-year personal loan for just 7% per annum, starting from 500,000 rupees to 10 million rupees. All you need is just one guarantee. NSB Wings. Reach out the high goals.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy.
Calm down, everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge.
LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Health Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi meeting the World Bank's country director for the Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, Faris Haddad Zervos, and World Bank resident manager Dr. Shio Kanda on Tuesday. The World Bank has pledged its fullest assistance to control the COVID-19 menace in Sri Lanka. During a meeting held on Tuesday at the Ministry of Health, with the Health Minister Pavitra Vanyarachi, the World Bank's country director for Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, appreciated the measures taken by the government of Sri Lanka to prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus in the country.
Congratulations on your promotion. It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And on the weather update, showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Uva, Eastern and North Central provinces and in Hambantota, Mullaitivu and Bavaniya districts from 2 p.m. Fairly heavy falls, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places, particularly in Uva province and in Trincomalee and Ampara districts. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Back to the headlines. Quarantine curfew will be imposed in the Western Province from midnight today. No one will be allowed to commute in or out of these districts except for certain groups during curfew times. Total number of infections registered by the second wave reached 5,731. U.S. State Secretary says that the MCC agreement is one of many opportunities offered by the U.S. and that it is ultimately up to Sri Lanka to choose whether to accept it. Chanting of Ratana Sutra is being held today as well. News overseas, Macron declares second national lockdown in France.